This is StoryRobot. Welcome to r/entitled parents. Our story of today is, entitled mother kills her child and ruins the career of my sister-in-law. This happened in August 2017 and involves two lengthy lawsuits, one of which lasted 1.5 years and another for almost 2 years. I'm not directly involved in it, as it happened to my sister-in-law. Back in 2017, my sister-in-law, Sil for short, was in her final year for nursing school. She was required to intern as trainee nurse for 6 months. She chose to join a private school for her internship. It was one of those international private schools where kids of ultra-rich parents go. Part 1. The incident. 15th of August is India's Independence Day, and there was a celebration in the school. It was your usual flag ceremony with flag march by students and student band, some plays by student depicting events of freedom movement, some cultural exhibition put together by each class, food and game stalls by teacher, etc. At the end of the day, top 3 class performances, plays and cultural exhibition were awarded, and select students were given Certificate of Excellence for outstanding performances. Everything was going normal in the beginning, but a student collapsed during the parade, so he was brought in the doctor's office. Doctor checked him and found that he was running moderate fever. He was also slightly dehydrated. So the doctor gave him some medicines, asked my Sil to give him a glass of glucose water. He scolded the kid for participating in the parade while in fever and wrote him a note excusing him from any further activity. He then asked the kid if his parents were present, and the kid said that his mother was there. So doctor told him he could go home if he wanted, or he could sit in shade with his mother to watch the rest of the ceremony. The kid asked if he could just stay there and rest for a while, so the doctor said that he could use one of the beds to take a nap. Since there was nothing else to do in the office, the doctor excused himself to go and have something to eat from the stalls, leaving my Sil and a janitor in the office. Hardly 5 minutes later, the mother, entitled mother, marched in the office and went directly to check on her child. My Sil tried to tell her that the kid was running a fever and taking a nap, but entitled mother ignored her. She shook the kid and asked him how was he feeling. The kid said, "Fine." Entitled mother said, "Good. Now get up, you got to get ready for your play, sweetie, everyone else is already dressed up." My Sil again tried to explain, "He is running a fever, he wants to rest." Entitled mother replied, "Oh, it's fine, he is fine, aren't you, sweetie?" The kid just looked at my Sil. Sil said, "The doctor has excused him from other activities. It would be better if you just take him home and let him rest." Entitled mother said, "It is just a play, I'm sure my sweetie can handle it. He is a tough man. Isn't that right, sweetie?" Sil tried again, "It would be better for him to just rest, he is still under fever." And with that, entitled mother lost her mind. She screamed to my Sil's face, "Oh. You know what's better for him? I'm his mother, I know what's best for him. How dare you? My son is the topper of his class, he is playing the most important part in the play. He is the best. If he doesn't participate in the play, he will not get the Certificate of Excellence. He needs to stay at the top of everything or else he'll become a laughing stock, so don't you dare tell me what's better for him." The kid, seeing his mother losing her mind, stood up and said to my Sil with a smile, "It's okay, sister, I'm fine. Thanks for caring for me." Shocked and stunned, my Sil only managed to say, "Let me call the doctor." Entitled mother retorted, "I come from a family of doctors. My father is the director of a well-known private hospital, you people aren't even qualified enough to work in a hospital, huff." She grabbed the arm of her child and marched away. My Sil called the doctor, who said, "Well, it's her child, what can we do? We did our part." About an hour later, the same kid was rushed in again, as he again collapsed during the play. The doctor checked on him, gave him an injection and asked him to be transferred to a hospital immediately as the kid was unconscious and not responding. An ambulance was called and kid was taken to the hospital. The day ended without any other incident. 2 days later, the school learned that the kid passed away in the hospital. My Sil was distraught upon hearing the news. She kept crying for rest of the day. She kept saying how it was her fault, and how she could have prevented it if she stood her ground. How the kid smiled at her and thanked her for caring for him. We told her that it wasn't her fault, and consoled her to the best of our abilities. Even her professor from nursing school came and tried to make her feel better. About a week later, she was informed that the school was opening an inquiry and a board of inquiry will look into the matter and that she will be called for interview. The doctor assured her that it was just a formality for school to cover all the bases, and she didn't need to worry about it. In her interview, she stated everything that happened. She was then asked why she felt it was her fault, as she said so to the class teacher of the kid in her crying fit. She explained that at the time she was overwhelmed by emotions and thought she could have done things differently. She was asked if there was anyone who will corroborate her story, and she named the janitor who was present in the office at the time. She was then informed that she was placed under suspension until the inquiry concludes. When she went back to collect her things from the office, doctor once again assured her that there was nothing to worry about, he will make sure that no harm will come to her. Few days later, she received a letter from the school that they concluded the investigation and found her guilty of negligence, and thus her contract was terminated. She called the school supervisor, who informed her that her story did not match the story told by the doctor and the janitor, thus there was nothing that can be done. Termination of contract meant that she couldn't complete her final term on time, so she put the application for extension to the nursing school. She thought it was over, but boy were we in for a bomb dropped on us. Part 2: The Legal Trouble. A few days later, 2 cops knocked on the door of my father-in-law and asked to speak to my sil. They informed them that the family of the kid filed an first incident report against my sil. They accused her to cause the death of the kid. They asked if they can question her, but my father-in-law denied and told them they can only question her in the presence of a lawyer. So the cop asked her to come to police station the next day for the questioning. We got the lawyer immediately, who at first called the cops and asked for a later date to be set for the question. Then he told us to get an anticipatory bail ASAP, in case police decides to arrest her, so we did. In the questioning the lawyer talked for the most part, he provided them with the written statement of my sil. The police asked their questions, and directed my sil to not leave the state without informing them first, etc. etc. Few more days go by, and she received a summons from the court as the state decided to try her for the crime. The lawyer suggested to track down and speak to the janitor, as he was the only witness in the otherwise she said case. And so we did. The janitor was reluctant to talk at first, but after my sil begged him, he told us that the doctor told him that if he told the truth, he will be admitting to the same mistake that nurse did and will be fired for sure, and the only way to save himself was to tell the story that doctor was telling him. The story doctor told to the school's board of inquiry was that doctor had the kid under observation with the strict instruction that he would not be released under any circumstance. And that my sil released the kid without asking or informing him. We asked him to testify in the court, which at first he refused but later agreed with a bit of persuasion. Once we had janitor on our side, the lawyer also filed a case of wrongful termination against the school, accusing the inquiry to be partial and biased. Once the court hearing started, we learned that the entitled mother told white lies to the father of the kid. She never told him that she forced the kid to perform in the play, instead she said the kid wanted to play his part. She also hid the fact that nurse objected, and showed her the doctor's note. Her story was that the kid wanted to participate in the play, and when she asked the nurse said everything was fine and he could play his part. The case went on for a year and a half. Janitor provided his testimony, which the prosecution tried to discredit, saying that he told a different story during school inquiry, so he was not a reliable witness. But the judge refused, taking note that the doctor tried to intimidate him, and in turn asked the prosecution if they investigated the doctor's part in the incident as to why he forced janitor to lie and why was he not present during his duty hours. When prosecution replied in negative, the judge asked police to file a case against the school doctor. During her stand, my sil got very emotional and started crying as she recounted the events of that entire day. The only witness prosecution had was child's mother, who couldn't keep her story straight during cross-questioning. Finally, in the judgment, court ruled in my sil's favor, noting that prosecution's witness had massive holes in her story while defendant provided a solid witness. He also noted that even if prosecution was to be believed, defendant, being only a trainee nurse, wasn't even qualified to release the student, and by taking the kid away without the doctor's expressed opinion, the responsibility of consequences fell on the mother of the child. He also commented on school's mismanagement. By not having a fully qualified nurse, they were in violation of federal laws. He scolded the prosecution for having a tunnel vision and going after defendant, who was obviously innocent and a vulnerable young girl herself. After the court ruled in our favor, the school decided to settle the wrongful termination case. It was finalized last month and we can finally put it all behind us. However, due to all the emotional distress and trauma, my sis-in-law decided to drop out of nursing school, thus ending her dreams of becoming a nurse. She will probably join an honors course next year, but right now she is still troubled with the nightmares of going to jail and needs therapy to get over it. The police has opened a fresh case against the doctor who was let go from the school this year. He is also being investigated by state's medical association for wrongdoings. If found guilty, he will be barred from practice. We have no information on entitled mother or her husband. Thank you for watching. Error. Problem detected. Not enough subscribers. Please subscribe, like and comment.